API. Now from the Nowcast Network studios, here's Mike.
Hey, welcome to the AudioNowcast. My name is Mike Rodriguez, and before we get going, let me introduce the guys and the girl. Starting with the one and only Bobby Owsinski.
Hello, Mike. How's it going? Hi, everybody. Good to see you all.
Hi, Bobby.
Hello.
Followed by Mr. Brandon Burnside.
I was muted. What's up, Mike? What's up, guys? Good to see everybody.
This is the AudioNowcast, and we have so many problems. It's so great. Followed by the one and only Mr. Nick Peck.
Hello, Mike. Hello, everyone. This is so cool. Using Riverside, we've got 8 different blocks up there. It's almost like the Brady Bunch. If we had one more person on the show.
One more.
Alrighty, and followed by a blast from the past coming to us all the way from Australia, Mr. Bobby Summerfield.
Well, hello. How are we today? Nice to see you lovely people again.
Bobby, it's so good to see you, kind of,
You too,
as
my bro.
you're a little blocky, but
Am I blocky? Sorry.
No, it's okay. It'll catch up. And next we have the one and only Scott Gershin.
Hey, buddy.
And followed by another blast from the past, the one and only Miss Bliss Maginnis.
Hi, everyone.
And finally, the Iron Man of the AudioNowcast. I've never missed a show. The one and only Rob Arbittier.
Hello, everybody. It is so good to see everybody. Even if we can't be in person, it's still pretty awesome.
I know, this is great. This is really fun. It's great to see everybody's smiling face. Today,
I'm sitting at our actual podcast table, so at least one of us is represented at the table.
That's good to know. Is that what the percentages are? The proximity to the podcast table? And there's a percentage on top of each video.
Oh, is there?
Is there? There's not on mine.
It just says, yeah, I thought that was the proximity to the table.
Oh, are you talking about the 97% uploading, that one up there? Yeah, that's your upload that's going to Riverside. So
Gotcha. Fair enough.
It's catching up. So anyway, yeah. So it's great to see everybody at Bliss. It's so great to see Bliss. To be honest, Bliss and I work together. We're going on like 8 years now. I think we've been producing partners, and yeah, and she's actually my boss this round.
Things have gotten interesting.
They've gotten really interesting.
And amazing.
But
all the things. It's so amazing working with you all these years, Mike. I can't even believe it.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun. So yeah, we work for a tech company. It's great. But today we're going to talk about AI, and we're not going to talk about AI. You know, there's a lot of places to go for education on AI, but I want to open it up to the panel on how AI is affecting you now, and how do you think it might affect you in the future. And also we're going to talk about some of the ethical and moral things about AI. So I'm just going to open it up right off the bat, and let's talk a little bit about the state of AI right now. I want to know, how many people use AI daily in their workflow? How many people have kind of already put it in their workflow? See, it's slowly but surely, it's going to kind of sneak up. Now, I bet whether you know it or not, you've used AI for a long time. For instance, some of the spell checkers that are out there have elements of AI and things like that. When I first got into AI, it was really interesting to see how, I wanted to understand it. And actually, the person who was ahead of the curve on all this is our one and only Bobby Owsinski. Bobby, you wrote a book on AI, right?
Yeah, I did. And in the process, I played with 120 different AIs across all sorts of entertainment and creativity. So yeah, I put my time in.
Now, just give us a little rundown on the state of AI as how you see it in especially in music production and in the creative space.
Well, if you look at it as a tool, it's really fantastic. If you look at it as a creator, maybe not so much. I'm constantly amazed at the mistakes it makes. Every single day, I come across a mistake that, and many times it's severe. And then if it's a large language model, it will probably refuse to admit that it made a mistake. But nonetheless, if you're cautious about it, then it can be a great help in just about anything you do. So, but as far as the state is concerned, it's advancing so fast that nobody can keep up. And I mean nobody, not even the experts can keep up. So if you're falling behind, don't worry about it. As a matter of fact, just let it go and do whatever you can as you need it.
I think one of the things about AI that really helped me is understanding how AI works. Like for the longest time, I was like, how does it recognize the syntax of our language? How does it recognize what we're asking? How does it recognize it? And in a nutshell, the way tokens work and the way the language works, it's basically pattern recognition, right? It takes our language and it converts our language into numbers. And basically, it's just the pattern of the numbers that it sees. So it doesn't really understand our language per se. It's just a giant pattern. It's just a giant pattern. And that's why it's taken so long for AI to get to where it's at right now, because let's face it, we didn't have the computing power that we have now. Our computers are just so powerful, and especially that's why it leans on a lot of GPUs, a lot of the NVIDIA, 5080s and 5090s to do a lot of that back end computations, because it just needs all of that power.
Because it's not just the pattern recognition, it's also constantly going, is this right? No. Is that right? No. Is this right? No. Is that right? No. And if you have to do that billions of times a second, you're using a lot of processing power.
Yeah, and look, there's a reason why all RAM and hard drives are so expensive now. It's because
it's crazy right now.
The data centers that they're building are sucking up all of the resources. So for instance, a T9 drive that I used to use when I went out in a shoot, I used to get the 4 terabytes and it cost $369. Now it's like $800 for that same drive. It's crazy. It's crazy. And there's been a couple major RAM manufacturers that literally aren't selling to consumers anymore. They're just selling straight to these businesses and these data centers. So there's a lot of computing power that has to happen on the back end. We only see it on our phone or on a tablet, but all the magic is happening behind the scenes.
And magic is pulling down the electrical grid and taking power away from, the rest of our civilization, causing everything to be more expensive, having a significant impact on water use. So there's a lot of downsides that you don't see when you're looking at it from the front.
Yeah, someone should ask AI how to fix that. Maybe they'd have an answer.
Yeah, AI it definitely has a footprint, has an ecological footprint, as Nick was saying, with data centers and heat. That's the other thing. There's you get these reports of Midwestern towns that have literally seen the ambient temperature of their town go up because the data center is basically putting all this warm air out there that are cooling all the machines. So it's crazy. Anyhow, that's a little bit of background on the backbone of AI and a little bit of how AI works. But let's talk about AI and its uses. And I want to know how you guys feel about. Let's just start from the beginning, where everybody's thinking about Suno, right? Let's talk about AI and music making, and where do you guys stand on that? Like, there's a lot of discussion about AI, right? And one of the biggest things is Suno's getting sued, it seems like, by all the record labels out there, because they say they've used their music to train their AI. But what is the difference between AI listening to music and figuring out how to do it, and millions of people listening to music and figuring out how to do it? Like, it's did they break in? No. Did they, how does that work? Actually, Bobby, what do you think about that?
I use it. I love it. Actually, I use it for finishing songs I hadn't finished for years. I remember when you did it, I was like, I did a country song the other week that I wrote about a girlfriend 9 years ago. And I thought, let me finish this now. And it did it. So it was great. But I think if you're modeling, so if a musician or a human listens to an artist and goes, I really love the chords of that song, I'm going to steal that chord and borrow that chord, and I really like that, they rarely emulate the singer's voice. So I think record companies do have a bit of a problem there, where if you've got 5 famous singers and a computer goes and models that voice and tries to sound like one of their artists, nearly the kind of, it waters down the value of that unique artist a little bit. As I see it, as I'm just comparing to what you said, as what's the difference between a human listening to music and emulating or stealing it literally, or borrowing chords from it. We all do that, but I rarely do we go off and try and sound like, and actually emulate Frank Sinatra or somebody that's a big artist. That would actually infringe on somebody that owns that artist's rights or the artist themselves. I think. I don't know. Correct me where I'm wrong, I think, as a point.
Well, Bobby, let me ask you, Bobby O, when do the record labels, do they have a case, in your opinion, on the training of AI on their catalogs? Like, A, can they prove it? And B, so what if they can prove it?
They did, and everyone thought that they were going to win, and then they settled and made a deal. And all of the labels have made their own deals with various AI music generators. And the reason why, and even worse, artists don't understand this. So what they did is they made a deal, and they sold it to the artist by saying, look, now you're going to get another revenue stream that you wouldn't have had before. But the fact of the matter is, it's not just music, it's image and likeness as well. So they don't realize that all of that, their very essence, their artistic essence, has now been sold off for them.
So
that's the bad part.
That is the bad part, because that means you're going to see little AI generated models of your favorite.
Well, you just become less valuable all of a sudden. You're not unique anymore.
Yes.
You're photocopied, not perfectly, but well. Yeah.
Now, so, I have to say that I have heard of some really good instances where pros have said, Suno, for instance, has really helped me out. I was just talking to a studio owner, a fairly big studio in a valley here, who was telling me that AI has been a boon to their business. And you think, well, wait a second, that's not supposed to work that way. He says, well, what happens is people will use it to generate a song, and then they'll go, if only I could add something, this and that, and I need a guitar and whatever. And if you've ever tried to do that with Suno or any music generator, you know that it doesn't do exactly what you want. Right. And you can't get it to do it. So as a result, people are going in the studio and adding other parts, or they're going in and they're saying, we'll use this as a demo and we'll recreate everything.
Right.
So there are studios that are really busy. I've also heard, and this is coming from Nashville of all places, where there's a lot of artists that are taking their old catalog, like Bobby said, and they're saying, okay, it's a little dated the way it is now. I just got my catalog back from my record label. Let's update it. And they go in Suno and they say, here's a song, give me a more modern version. So there are reasonable, valuable ways of using it. The pros are using it. I think where we run into a problem is when consumers use it. So no one argues with pros. It's when it's a retail consumer item where everybody and their brother can make songs and compete with pros.
And do you think that's just it? It's the fact that the pros want to keep the market to themselves, let's just say. And when you start opening up and democratizing music, the making of music, do you think that's where, that's where the issues are going to be? And is that going to drive down the value of the pros? Is that going to drive down the value of their music?
That's what everybody thinks.
For certain uses it will. Like if somebody needs some cue for a commercial and they really don't care like how great or inspired it really is, they just want it to be cheap, there's definitely parts of the market that'll
and to be
taken
honest,
over by that.
A big chunk of music, dare I say 80%, I would guess, that's pretty much can be lesser quality than it really is for the job at hand. I'm talking about media music. I mean, lots of it I know lots of fantastic musicians that do really great background music for music libraries. They really don't need to be that good anymore, because generally there's a dog fart going over it louder than the music anyway, and it's just covering up, just making sure there's some bit resolution going on in the background that has like a minor or major feel. That's really it. It's not that important. So for that sort of thing, I think definitely it's not going to, that's definitely been taken away. I can't see it. I mean, I know we all know money drives everything essentially. So when there's money to be saved, they're not going to go for quality. Just never has. They haven't done with real people, so why would they do it with a computer? Unfortunately,
Bobby, I think what you're saying too about especially licensed music. I think the license, if I was some of the big vendors that are out there, APM and some of those boys, I'd be scared, because it's so easy now to get a cue off of Suno that is yours, and you can use it, and you can cut it into anything that you want. You can have the broadcast rights. You don't
but wait a second. There's a problem. It's a copyright problem. You can't copyright that stuff.
That's right.
If it's 100% AI generated, you cannot copyright it.
But you know what? To a lot of working people, that's all right. As long as I can use it, I don't have to own it, right? I can just like if I'm cutting a 30-second spot, if I'm cutting a 2-minute piece, if I can generate music that I can get in and get out, all right, I don't have to own it. I just need to use it for that product. Now, look, it devalues music, that in and of itself. But
and
at
there's
the same
a gray
time,
give if it's 100% AI, that's the loophole. Okay, so I've got the song, but I'm not gonna the hi hat. Don't give me any snare drum, and I put my own snare drum. It's not 100% AI anymore. So it's like, okay, 99% AI. Okay, then it's okay. That's the problem.
Bobby, help me out with the copyright issue here. So, Mike, let's say that you're not doing something for your own artistic enjoyment, but let's say that a company hired you to cut a commercial for them, and it's going to go out into the world, whether it's on the internet or whether it's on cable TV, I don't know. But you're creating this thing, and then you are generating some music using Suno and putting that into the background of the commercial. Now they're hiring you to make sure that the content that you're generating is on 100% legal ground, right? And so is it in fact reasonable? I would never use stolen sound effects out of a library that I didn't bought on a sound design job, ever, because my reputation and my work is more important than that. And so the question that I am asking is that legit, or are you asking for trouble if you are using AI-generated music in the background of a professional piece?
It's legit. You may not own it, but you can certainly have the license to use it.
So here's the question I've got also, getting into the business side. Does E&O insurance cover anything that was created by AI? Because every company needs to have E&O insurance just in case they screw up. But they may go, anything from that, we're not going to cover.
Explain E&O to the people that don't know.
Errors and omissions. So what it basically is let's say you use a sound library you didn't know, Nick, and you thought you had the rights to it because it was in there, and you've got a big company of people, and something gets in your product that was not meant to be. There was a mistake, and the person who says, hey, by the way, that's not yours, that was mine. And you're like, or whether it's a synthesizer patch, atmospheres or whatever, something that you didn't know you may not have had the rights to or something, the E&O insurance will cover all that just in case. But the question now is, if you're using AI, will the E&O insurance cover any of that? Or is it like, no, we don't cover that?
I would imagine if you have the license rights, right? Like for Suno, if you have a certain degree and you have the broadcast rights of that music, I just think that's what you can hide behind. That's going to be your shield when it comes to something like that.
Right, so, but it'd be interesting to find out from a pure business standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I agree.
Yeah, because if you're a big company, you can't do. Yes, Bliss?
I'll ask legal. I'll ask my legal department, because that, as a producer, is the scariest thing ever. The music licensing and the sound effect and the cue sheets that go into checking with legal before delivery of anything that goes out for broadcast or commercial purposes is honestly the scariest part of my job.
Because everything is based on, I could say, give me Hans Zimmer meets John Williams and give it to me with drum tracks and give me blah, blah, blah. And then they go, wait a second, this is a ripoff of Hans. You don't own it. You didn't really compose it. So if you're not the composer, do you have the rights to sell it? Because here you are, a service provider, and you're saying, I'm a composer. I'm going to sell my rights to you, and you're going to make $100 million on a product that's really big, whether it's a game, a show, only to find out you didn't have the rights to sell it. And all of a sudden, the big company gets sued because Hans says, wait a minute, that's me. That's a capture of me. All of a sudden goes through the legal thing, and they go, great, I want damages because I won an award for it. Now, all of a sudden, your company and massive lawsuits can occur. How do the companies protect themselves?
No,
Bobby,
so
you're muted.
Bobby, you're
Bobby's
muted.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
There we
yeah,
go.
I couldn't unmute. But it goes another step, because just because you generated something, let's say from Suno, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have the rights to do anything. And if you look at the agreement that you do with Suno, it depends on how much you pay them. So if on the highest tier, you get the rights to do any of those things you just talked about, Scott. However, on the lowest right is they still keep all those rights and they'll get paid for that. You can go sell it, but the money goes to them. So, you have multiple levels in this. And I think this is where an IP attorney comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and-
everyone... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I wouldn't want to use it in any commercial product unless you had the highest tier, so you get the broadest license. I mean, that's just the way you would work to make sure you cover yourself.
Big companies are scared.
Well, yeah,
of
the
AI.
pros would do that.
A lot of companies, I recently spoke to somebody at Disney offering them a service that used AI to separate audio to make redo different versions of music that they've got. They immediately came back and said, we don't want any AI. No. I said, well, I'm just separating the stuff. It's literally Spectrasonics. It's a separated AI. We don't want AI. No. That was just no. They didn't even want to know about it. Not even the concept of it, even though AI is used to do a lot of work these days that's not creative. It's, heavy lifting of audio, digital audio stuff. But just out of interest, everybody's very hand-offish. They don't want to be, so big companies don't want to be associated with AI-produced music now, at least. I don't know whether...
Well, there's another level to this, too. There are the people who are just coming out of film school or music school. They want nothing to do with AI. And an example of this is I have a friend, and he's roughly in our age bracket, and he's doing a series of music videos.
30.
Yeah, all right. And he hired a very young crew. And they explicitly said to him, we want nothing to do with AI. If there's anything that's AI generated, we're going to walk away from this project. We want to do this the old-fashioned way, the way that it's always been done. Now, that could be because they just got out of film school and they learned that way and they want to explore that. But they're pretty adamant to them. And I've found that as well, that the youngest generation, they don't trust it. And they're, it's not something in their wheelhouse right now.
That's
and
interesting.
humans aspire to be
because-
better, hopefully. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to take the opposite on all that. I've kind of embraced AI and looked at as many guardrails as I can. But look, I've been producing video and content for years by just myself and Bliss. And anything that can make my job easier, I embrace. And that includes not just on the music side of things, but on the visual side of things too. Now, granted, there's good AI visuals and there's bad AI visuals. And usually the good AI visuals, you don't even know that it's AI, right? You just, it just works. And there's a lot more of that than people know. But I think AI is going to be one of these tools that, you can't run from it, right? You gotta control it, and you gotta use it. And if you stay on top of it, that's how you be the director. You be the director. You give it direction. You tell it where to go. You tell it what to do. I think that's where it's heading. I think that's where if you're going to make a viable income, because if you're not doing it, there are other people that are doing it, and there's a stigmatism. Don't use any AI for this or don't use any AI for that. But the reality is it's going to get to the point where you don't know what is AI and what is real. So you just have to come in. The one thing that AI can't do really well is two things. Number one, math on a budget. Like if you ask AI to create a budget for you, you better double check all those numbers, because I can tell you 100%. I did with Bliss, we did like 150 interviews in the last 4 years, and I had to do budgets for these projects. And I cannot tell you how many times I did the budget, and I have a template actually in chat. And then I look at the numbers, and the numbers are wrong. And then I'll say, your math is wrong, double check. And it'll say something like, oh, I'm so sorry, you're absolutely correct. You ever notice when chat is wrong, it's so polite. It's so
it does blow smoke up your butt all the time. It really does. It's programmed to do that. That's for sure.
That's why legal had to come back to me, because I didn't check my math on AI.
Yeah. So AI cannot do math. It just I would never trust it on anything like that. And the other thing that
hey,
AI
Mike.
What?
Hey, can I jump in here on that? I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys have played with Claude Cowork yet, but it solves that problem. You've got all these different skills and plugins you can train it with, and a plugin is a set of skills with a bunch of program agents. That's working well. Check it out.
I would still 100%. I know about agents, and I actually run my own local LLM behind me, but I still would check it. I still double check it. Like you have to check
for sure.
What comes out of AI. You just, it may be right every single time until that one time that it's wrong. The other thing that AI, I found that it doesn't do well is if you have a concept, like, first of all, you don't want to go in and just say, give me a blank concept and then follow it to the teeth, because AI is trained on everybody else's concept, right? If it hasn't seen it before, it's probably not going to be able to regurgitate something back to you because of what it does. As a human, we have the ability to go that next step and be creative. So I think AI as a creative tool can help you hone in your creative ideas, but I would never go to AI straight for an idea right off the bat, and I think that's where you can really stay on top of AI, is you come up with the ideas, you come up with the concepts, let AI help you out. There's AI. I know AI helps flesh out a bunch of things for a bunch of my friends, whether they're, starting to write something and they want AI to come in and critique them and they use the be brutally honest. Have you guys ever used that prompt? Be brutally honest. Mm-hmm. And it gets pretty brutal. And then,
it does.
And the no BS, it always comes up. This is the no BS version.
I actually asked it once. I was going through the rabbit hole of creativity and stuff, and I said, please come up with something that you've never come up with before. And it basically just regurgitated exactly what it had written before, which was not original or new by any means.
Well, this stuff isn't. What is it that people love so much about Stevie Wonder? What is it that people love so much about the Beatles? What is it that people love so much about, pick any style of music like that, music that has lasted, music that is immortal? There is an ineffable humanity to that music. And, I think it's one thing to be able to use Suno to generate a background track for something in which it's, furniture music d'ameublement, which is the class that is just, meant to be there. But when you're talking about something that people would pay money to go see, something where people get excited to go to the record store, or, and yes, I know I'm old, but I collect vinyl. and get something and own it. And I have a piece of Stevie Wonder right here, and it's made out of vinyl, and I'm going to put it on my turntable and I'm going to listen to it. And there is that aspect of the real creativity, the spark of human genius that AI can't do and won't do.
But I tell you what, AI can make music. If you're a non-musician and you want it to generate a song, it can absolutely generate music that you want to listen to. When I first got into Suno, I was writing music left and right. Well, prompting music is more like it. But even still, you can prompt it like specifically. You can tell it what key you want it. You can tell it what kind of instrumentations you want it. You can take it and you go to Suno Studios, you split it up into stems, and you can edit and do all kinds of fun stuff with it. Yes, I understand what you're saying about the humanity portion of it, but just because there's not somebody tagged onto it, if you get down to what is music and what chord progressions we like and what sounds good, you can make stuff that you want to listen to on AI. I have a whole folder of songs that I'm like, man, I would listen to this again and again.
You know what? I have to side with Nick a little bit because I think of AI as a DJ, not a musician. And I've always made that distinction.
Excellent.
That's a great.
And I also though separate, because I use AI a ton, but I separate generative AI, which is what we're talking about here, from just AI tools, because we're all using AI tools. If you talk to your phone, you're using an AI tool. You could be a purist right out of film school, but as soon as you go to edit your feature and you're going through the dailies and you remember that somebody said the word, banana someplace, and you want to search all your dailies for the word banana and have it transcribe every single clip and find you the word, all of a sudden you become the biggest fan in the world of AI, because to sit there and watch all those dailies to find the word banana before, and now you can do it in a few seconds. But that's not generative AI. That's just AI as a tool, which I think is here to stay, and it's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, definitely here to stay.
Even generative AI, though, even like Suno's not going to, it's not going to go away. Even if for some reason it gets sued out of existence, there's going to be something right behind it, because that's just the way technology is.
It has Sue right in the name. Like they knew what they were signing up for.
But it also has no in it too. So Sue no.
Well, that's true. Sue now.
I just think, I think for somebody who appreciates music, who loves music, to be able to go to a place and get an experience that they may have had when they were younger. Maybe they've always wanted to express a certain thing about, their first love or high school or something. And to be able to take that information, throw it in a prompt, and get a music in the style that they want. I mean, I see the attraction for that. I see that's something.
But it's just funny to say, if only a robot could express the emotion I'm trying to get out. Like there's something fundamentally wrong with it.
People like music. It's not music. If you listen to music lovers, often listen. I'm one of them, and I'm sure you all are. We listen to records or recordings of live players, and you love the way it was played down and how the drummer missed that beat on that one. That's lovely. And then the live version is completely different. You don't get that with a regurgitated version of it. It doesn't do imperfection. It does perfection, and that's extremely boring. Real humans make perfect music, and that's fucking boring. Excuse me, very boring as well. I find guys sit there and edit the piss out of everything. It's like I prefer listening to Suno, because at least it's it sounds better. Taking that life out of everything.
Yeah, I mean,
but we love humans.
But that comes down to personal taste, though, right? That comes down to personal taste on whether or not you like the DJ, or you like this, or whether or not you love all the bands at Coachella, or you hate all those things. I'll tell you, though, you brought up a good point. I will say that there's still room for a live band. There's still room to go to a jazz club and to hear somebody play. There's still room for someone to be a real, to just be a virtuoso at their instruments. Like that, to me, is something that I don't think AI can touch. That live, real music. You get a singer and songwriter in a venue like the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, right? They're a small venue, and you're sitting around and they're singing songs that they wrote. That's something I don't think AI can ever touch. So there's still room for that. But on the other hand, there's
You don't
plenty
think
of room
AI
for
won't do
people to want to
Miles?
create their own music.
You don't think AI is going to do Kind of Blue again? I don't think so. You know, it just can't. It can model it, but it won't do it. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
it won't feel the same. It's a magic.
But that doesn't mean it's not going to generate jazz music that somebody likes. I'm just saying that that it's going to be here. It's going to be. I can just see it more and more. You know, people are going to find out that they can create these songs. And let's face it, you know, when you empower people to create, that's pretty powerful. Whether or not they're responsible, you know, for the actual song because AI is doing it. Just the fact that they can create it, that's a pretty powerful thing for people to do.
Hey, Mike and guys, can I bridge this discussion from music over to the film industry? Yes. With a quick analogy here, because I would love to talk about that and get everyone's feeling on what's going on and how disruptive AI is going to be to the film industry with things like C-Dance 2.0 and Higgsfield and all that stuff. Not just the visuals, but the audio as well. But before we get to that, it feels like to me right now, we all remember when, the music industry, music production went from you needed $1 million studio to create a hit record to, it seemed like a few years later, you could have a kid producing a hit record on a laptop in his bedroom. I feel like that's where we're sort of at right now with the film industry. And I'd love to get your guys' input on that. It feels like now with those tools I discussed and others, pretty soon we're going to have bedroom film producers cranking out, what feel like feature length, what are feature length movies and feel like $100 million budget movies. Like, what is everyone's take on that whole progression that's going on right now? And what do you guys think? Like, how is the disruption going to play out? Is it going to become, a lot more film productions, a lot more content, a lot more work for people? Or is it going to steal everybody's work and it's going to become, destructive to the industry as a whole?
Well, I think I can tell you, just like in music, right? What's going to happen even more so in film is you still need the human to come up with the general concept. And I'll give you an example. I don't know if you guys on Instagram, if you've seen the Instagram of this girl who goes back in time. She's like a California girl and she goes back in time and she relives like the Black Plague or she relives all these great moments in history. And it's pretty widespread on Instagram. Anyway, I think it was the BBC did a documentary, a little feature on the guy that did it. And it was really interesting to see how much control, like it took, a creative process for him to create the character and then for him to create the little segments that they put it in. So I think there's still room. It's tools. I think there's still room for the human to be the creative. That guy was still a director. There's still things that you have to do as a director that the tools are going to get easier. The production's going to get easier. You can create worlds now with no problem. And I have VO 3.0 and I've done a gazillion tests and things. And I'm working with a friend of mine doing some visual effects for his movie that he would have never been able to afford. And I just think it's a tool. I think there's still room for that human element that it's a tool. But I will tell you this. Yeah, that jobs are going to be like there's jobs on the line. There's things, as progress goes, things are going to get replaced. People are going to get replaced. The analogy would be like tape ops in a studio. Back in the day, they'd have to go in there and they'd have to line the tape machines and do all that. Well, you don't have tape ops anymore because you don't have tape. The same thing's going to happen. And unfortunately, some jobs are going to feel the impact on that. You're going to see, one-man bands or two-man bands doing what people used to take a whole crew to do. I mean, you're already seeing that. I'm sure Scott can tell you that the paring down of the number of people on a production, from what it used to be to what it is now,
But, I'll weigh in for something because I'm actually not for AI. I'll be honest. Because let me tell you what just happened. 1,000 people just got laid off in games. Most of my friends who did music aren't. They're doing other things. They're programming. They're doing other things. West LA music, gone. My favorite restaurants, gone. So now all of a sudden, LA is in trouble economically because we're not spending money because people aren't making it. You know, I have hopes that drum machines were supposed to replace drummers and they didn't. But the idea that bottom feeders, producers that have no talent, who just want things cheaper, they don't want the actors, they don't want the composers, they don't want the musicians, but they want to make money, is bullshit. I'm so against it to the highest levels, but that's just me. I think people don't want corporate rock. Like, so there's Rob will go, oh my God, Kansas and Styx and all the people. It just became churn and burn. And then everyone went to Seattle, which was something new, something different.
But Scott, you said something interesting, and I my heart goes out to people that get lit. Trust me, this is difficult to talk about because of the humans behind it, you know. But I'm gonna talk about it, and it's not because I don't have any compassion, but this is we got to have both sides of the story. And what you said was like, you know, plumbers can be replaced, but you know,
cannot be replaced.
Cannot be
replaced.
Yeah, right. Cannot be replaced, right?
So the people that can't be replaced are the people that do manual labor.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So what I'm
the
saying
lowest
is,
bottom feeders, yeah.
But what if there's a shift and what are the manual labor? What if the tools are changing and it's the bottom feeders that you call them are going to be a whole level of the new like plumber? You know what I'm saying? They're the new manual labor. It's like the change is happening. The change is going to happen, and it's just going to redefine what some of these jobs are.
Right, but there aren't jobs. In other words, at some point, people should stop having kids, because there's not going to be enough jobs for people. I think that, you know, I'm for AI tools. I'm just against generative AI, because the reality is, you know, you got kids, Mike. They may not be able to do it. They may not be able to move forward. I know you're going to have kids for the rest of your life at your house. In other words, it's just life changes to a point where I could see a backlash against it. I mean, there's a backlash right now against, I'm doing my movie. We used AI to create some animation, and we're replacing it all because we want to try demoing stuff out. I think it's a great idea. Using it as a tool to help create something that you're eventually going to do correctly is a wonderful thing. But at some point, go ahead.
Vibe coding.
All I'm saying, yes, there's definitely a human cost, as there's always been a human cost. The Industrial Revolution was a human cost. The change from...
It's not a human, it's economic.
But exactly, there's always been that type of... We're in a moment, like, right now, those bottom feeders, as you call them...
Yep.
We lost you.
Audio.
Lost you.
I touched my microphone. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
It is the audio.
No, I was going to say is, yeah. But what if there's the next Spielberg or the next great,
the next great. Look, Rob is an amazing keyboard player. He's a prodigy keyboard player who can listen to music and tell you the notes. He can write it out or just play it after hearing it once.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a 1% of 1% of 1%. And he now has no value.
Yeah.
Because I can just tell a computer to go play. No, it's true, though. I mean, looking at the great players,
yes.
What you're saying is, but somebody who's never went to music school, who has a Woody for being able to be a rock star, put some words in there and says, look, I'm as good as Rob.
But you know what? Why is he not as valued? The fact that he has the opportunity to express himself. Why is that any less important?
Because it takes practice and work to be good at anything. As a businessman, as an engineer, as a programmer, everybody in here has put the time in to excel. And to sit there and say someone who is, I will call bottom feeder, who doesn't want to put the time in, doesn't want to try, doesn't want to work hard to do something, a craft, very well, I can make money. I can compete at the same level. So you, Mike, could compete at the same level as Rob, as good of a player, because an audience doesn't know any better. You might even be better, but you don't play.
That hasn't happened.
Until you play live, then I mean, they can't.
But you're
play
selling.
Live, so.
But live doesn't make any money unless you're selling T-shirts. Look at the music industry.
Wait, no, you're wrong.
Live
you're
is
wrong.
big time. Live's making a lot of money.
Yeah, no, that's where all the money's made right now.
Yeah, but isn't it all owned by Music Nation and all those people?
Live Nation.
And
Live Nation and the lawsuit today that they just lost is going to cost them a lot of that.
A lot of money.
It's going to cost them their monopoly on it. But that aside, see, everything you say is true, but the fact of the matter is, it's not happening in music the way you think. In music, even though there's a lot of AI generation, there's a lot of that going on, it hasn't crossed the barrier of being the most popular or more popular than human-generated music.
But it's still early on, when you say that the whole process and knowledge of AI.
No. Wait a second. So there's been 5 country artists that have charted that are AI, and as soon as people find out it's AI, it gets castigated and pushed to the side. And I'll tell you what's even worse. I listened to every AI popular artist that was female, and they all sound the same. So you listen to 5 of them in a row and you go, well wait, that sounds like that. The tone may change, the quality may change, but the inflections, there's a certain sameness to it all. And people understand that. They don't like it.
Right. So the people are going to weigh in whether they want AI or not. So the concept of we have to use AI to make money. I mean, look, AI, if you want to sit at home and make cool stuff and noodle around, sure. I'm a musician. I'm okay. I'm not amazing, but I don't suck. So I do stuff for fun, and I entertain myself. But the moment that I come off saying I created something when I really didn't, that's the problem I have. And yes, and I am one of those people that if I heard it's an AI artist or an AI-generated product, I'm not interested. I will ban it. Now, with that said, if it's an AI tool, to be able to help in what you do, it cleans up dialogue, maybe helps with special effects techniques, different filters. I'm all for the tool set. I'm just against generative AI, but that's me, because I think I miss West LA music. I miss all my favorite restaurants. I miss some of the people.
I'll let the former owner of West LA Music know. I went to high school with his daughter, and she's one of my best friends.
So in other words, I miss the people that decided to check out early because their life had no meaning. And these are not things that go, well, it's real because it's personal. It affects me. It affects the people I know, and it makes me sad. So technology changes, but it's always been an aid, and this is the first time this can come up as a replacement.
Can I ask you guys
like you
something?
said, Bobby, it's just not accepted.
Yeah, go ahead. Then we're going to wrap it up because we're getting close.
Okay, I'm just intrigued. I know recently, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Spotify was reporting that people are listening to older catalog even more than the new music released. I don't know if that's still factual, but if it is, and it more than likely is, all the people that are releasing modern music that are essentially not using AI, but they're using a laptop and they're playing other people's samples. And it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying they're using computers to press buttons and create noise, music, but noise is just as much, gets uploaded to Spotify, 150,000 tracks a week or whatever it is. However, human ears of all ages are still listening to the old Fleetwood Macs of the world. Is that still true? And if that is still true, surely if this AI if this AI craze of creating music comes about, surely all it's going to do is put a big, large shit filter on and get rid of all the people that make it on their laptop and say, well, these computers are doing it best anyway. And the people that are doing it on their laptops will be driving Uber. And real musicians that can play and create original music, like jazz players, pop music, whatever style, orchestras, will actually be more valuable. They're like, oh, you're the real deal. This is like, you are a real deal. We're going to pay more for you. But the people over here on their laptops and regenerative stuff, that's just digital rubbish. Is that possible? I don't know. Yeah. Am I being optimistic?
I'm going to jump in. I've said this on the show before. My 16-year-old daughter her favorite band is Fleetwood Mac, and she could listen to once because she has Spotify, but the choices that she makes when we're driving and I'm listening to her playlists are bands with real singers and guitarists and drummers and people that are playing music that way. And that Fleetwood, this is what I said earlier, Fleetwood Mac will live forever, right?
Yeah.
Suno's competition number 8002 will not.
I just want to know the 10 people graduating from Berkeley next year have, not 10, only 10, have a career to be another Fleetwood Mac.
Well, we'll see.
Do you know that Berkeley just instituted an AI songwriting course?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I got a lot of pushback.
Berkeley did, yes. Yeah. And using Suno and all those generative tools. Now, that being said, as soon as they did, they got a massive pushback from all the students. But that being said, they're trying. I admire them on one hand for trying to stay ahead of the curve. On the other hand, they probably could have done it a better way.
Well, one of the Oscars going to have an AI category.
That won't happen.
Isn't there an AI invention, a plugin for Spotify? You can type it and say, just feed me music that's real, please. Just like no crap. Is that possible? Because it's very hard.
I don't know. But hey, we're going to have to wrap it up. We're going to have to wrap it up. But obviously, there's going to be plenty of more room for this discussion. And I think, you know what? I think there's some valid points. Scott brought up the human element. We talk about society and technology moving forward, but there's always a human cost. There's always somebody down there. Go ahead, Rob.
And I'm going to steal 20 seconds to say it is not a new thing that technology, which is overall great, destroys some lives. And it's a terrible side effect of technology. But try to find a typewriter repairman these days. Yeah. Who's going into coal mining? Yeah. How many blacksmiths do you know? It's just a natural side effect. And I guarantee you there were typewriter repairmen who were very depressed as typewriters went away. It's a terrible side effect, but it's not new.
No, but I think that with technology...
We'll keep it going the next time because seriously, we got to hit that 1 hour mark.
Okay, we're getting close.
We're getting close.
It calls into question who's running these studios and making these decisions, and these music business people who just want to save money instead of create something real. Like they should call into question who they're putting in charge.
The way they did, what they've done is most of the stuff has left the country.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I can't wait to see how AI. I want to see how AI edits this episode.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What I'm looking forward to see.
You know what? It's going to be all black screens.
The revoiced my thing going, I love AI.
Exactly.
I'll try to edit it off AI. Just kidding.
Right.
And don't you? Yeah, we use AI all the time. Anyway, this has been a really enlightening conversation, and I really appreciate everybody's opinion. And I just think just kind of hang on and see where it's going to go, because it's going to affect every single one of us one way or the other. And we'll just see how it goes. Before we go, super quick, Scott, is there anything that you're working on that you can talk about?
A trailer just came out today for Street Fighter.
Fantastic.
So it's getting a lot of views. We're excited about it. We start mixing in about 4 weeks.
That's great. Bobby Owsinski, how about you? Is there anything you've been working on?
I'm about to go on vacation, so in my mind, I'm already there.
Where are you going?
Where are you going? Yeah.
I'm going to end up in Barcelona. It's a transatlantic cruise.
I was going to say, is it a cruise? That's so great, Bobby.
Yeah.
You came to say hi to me in Sydney once upon a time. Remember that?
That's great.
I'd like to do it again, actually.
Brandon, how about you? What are you working on, brother?
Hey, what's up? Well, I actually have a piece of sound design in that Street Fighter trailer, so that's cool. But I just released Trailer Monsters Volume 2, which is our monster and creature sound design library for licensing and trailers. So that's the big thing going on right now.
That's fantastic. Did you work on that with Brett?
He did a couple of those, yeah.
Nice. Nick, how about yourself, brother? Are you working on anything interesting?
Working on a 3-hour-long Audible original in a franchise that everybody knows, in which I'm doing all the sound design, all of the mixing, and I can tell you for a fact that they wouldn't have hired AI to generate sound design. That is something that Scott and Brandon and I have worked very, 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 very hard on for many, many, many years, and that's a very special.
So we don't get paid enough to be replaced, you know.
Hey, so Nick, are you saying you're working on something that you can't talk about?
Yes, indeed, I can.
Bobby Summerfield, how about you? What are you working on?
I've been very busy. I just got two great things. 3 days ago, green light, and been assigned to record and mix. Bill Condon's doing a new musical with Matt. And we're going to South Africa in 5 weeks' time to record a really great musical. If you're familiar with his stuff, Bill Condon has done all like Chicago and all the big ones, Dreamgirls, and the recent. Anyway, so that's a really good thing. And Earth, Wind and Fire went on tour of them a couple of years ago. They called me because their front house engineer dropped out, and we eventually got on really well. Earth, Wind and Fire Experience, they called, and they come back a couple of times. So I've been on the road with them, but more importantly, we got them into the studio, and we started cutting stuff, and they said, hey, do you want to produce some stuff? So now we're cutting new music. So I've just got 40 more tracks from them. So it's pretty cool. Real players, 13 people on stage live, no click, no computer. I'm like, sign me up. So I'm pretty busy.
That's great. Rob, how about yourself? You working on anything?
I am. Well, for one thing, I'm very excited to be going to the NAB show for a few days to check out all the latest, greatest stuff, including some new AI stuff as part of Blackmagic's DaVinci Resolve, and I'll see Nick there, I think.
Yes.
So excited about that. I'm also gearing up to do some piano performance with a trio on the East Coast, because apparently I'm worth listening to. So I am actually.
Yeah, you're in demand, Rob. You're in demand.
And I'm actually going to talk about it as it gets closer. I'm playing with a guy who's kind of a legend, a jazz legend. So we'll talk about it as it gets closer. But I'm very excited about that. I'm flying to the East Coast for some rehearsals next week, getting my podcast network off the ground, rebuilding the studio after a massive flood, and that's about it.
And Miss Bliss, you can talk about the company line, or you can talk about the fun and exciting film that you're producing. What are you working on?
I mean, there's so many fun things. I don't have enough time to talk about them all. But yeah, exciting things. I'll let you do the exciting part, but I'm also working on raising a human that I just brought into this world. And figuring out how everything comes into play. So
eat, sleep, and poop. It's just great, you know.
That's literally a book that my sister-in-law sent me. That's the title.
I am working on a short film. Bliss and my other friend Dale are producing it, and we're going to be shooting May 2nd, and it's just been a blast writing the script, which I wrote the script, not AI, and just casting and the whole shebang. It's a SAG project, and we're going to finish it and then do the festival circuit, just because it just seems like something fun to do, and want to get the creative juices going. So that'll be really, really great, really fun.
You said SAG project, not sad. It sounded like you said sad project, but it's SAG.
See, that's why she's the
union.
Union. All right.
But I will say that there are some AI elements? Yes. For one thing, my shot list and figuring out, I have a really great storyboard program that's helping me put that all together. So there's definitely there's tools out there that are helping me along.
Well, the tools are okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, so this reminds me of the casting part of, like, if you're good, you're good. And if you're not good, it's really uncomfortable to watch. And the auditions in terms of AI and, real talent. It's very clear with acting, obviously, as well. So
yeah, Bliss, you brought up a good point. Like, the one thing that I will say, you have all these AI generated, videos and things like that. Man, when you see a really good actor nail a part, that's just, it's going to be a long time to capture that artificially, because we had some amazing actresses do some reads, and wow, it's amazing. Anyway, so that's what I'm up to. And then the other thing is, yes, I do know our website is broken. And I do know our feed to iTunes is broken. So think of all these shows that we're doing on YouTube right now as kind of like the Broadway preview. We're just previewing the show, getting back into the swing of things. But we will fix the website and we will fix the Apple feed. But, for the 7 listeners that are out there, I know you're listening to us on YouTube, so that's great. Anyway, look, Thank you so much for listening. If you want to reach us, you can reach us at audio@nowcastnetwork.com. That's audio@nowcastnetwork.com. And from myself and all the guys, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
And AI is never going to replace you, Joanne.
Or creatives. Do not replace your creative team with AI. Biggest mistake.
Bye.